Okay, so today we're diving into this whole Kayla Nicole, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it seems like on the surface, just another one of those celebrity relationship dramas,
Right.
but we're all about going deeper here, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what can Kayla Nicole's experience, especially after Kelce and Swift started dating,
Yeah.
what can that teach us about the hidden costs of fame,
Mm-hmm.
even when you're not the one directly in the spotlight?
Well, I think what's so fascinating about this particular story is it gives us this really interesting window into how how fans react to these high-profile relationships, celebrity relationships,
Yeah.
especially when you have a new person who enters the picture.
Totally.
And in Kayla Nicole's case, that new person brought with them a whole other level of
A
scrutiny.
whole other level, for sure. Okay, so for those who haven't been following every headline, Kayla Nicole and Travis Kelce is the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. They had this, pretty public on-again, off-again relationship from 2017 to 2022. But it's really what's happened since their split, especially after Kelce and Taylor Swift became a thing. That's gotten everyone talking.
And it's not just talk, right? I mean, Nicole's has been really open about the negativity she's faced online, which
Yeah.
it's sad to see.
She's talked about this, like, high level of hate, and it's brutal, like people telling her she's worthless, that she's talentless. Some are even saying, like, she'll never have a career because of this
breakup.
because her ex is now dating someone more famous.
And it's such a common pattern, unfortunately, but it's still so disheartening to see it play out. And I think it goes back to this idea of parasocial relationships,
Yeah.
where people develop these really intense feelings of connection with celebrities.
Right.
And then when something happens in that celebrity's life, whether it's a breakup or a new relationship or whatever it might be, those fans, they react as if it's happening to their own best friend.
It's like they have ownership over these celebrities' lives.
Yeah. Exactly. It's this sense of personal investment, often fueled by social media, that can create these really extreme, sometimes really inappropriate reactions.
And it's kind of mind-blowing in this situation because from what I've seen, Nicole seems like someone who values her privacy.
Yeah.
Like, she even said that she tries to avoid being seen with Kelce too much in public because of all the attention it brings,
It's almost like she understands how crazy it can get.
Yeah.
Like she's trying to get ahead of it, which speaks volumes about the kind of pressure that comes with that level of fame, even if it's by association, right?
Absolutely.
To feel like you can't even go out and grab a coffee with someone without it turning into this whole thing.
Exactly. And the irony is she's getting all this hate, all this negativity, even though she's trying to, like, stay out of the spotlight. It's not like she's out there doing interviews stirring the pot or anything.
No, she's really trying to lay low, but it seems like no matter what you do when you're connected to someone at that level of fame, it's hard to escape the scrutiny.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, how do you deal with that? How do you protect yourself when even trying to be private isn't enough to escape all the noise? And she has said that it gets to her. It's totally understandable.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's where I think it gets even more interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the online hate that she's dealing with.
Right.
Nicole has also kind of hinted that there have been some real-world changes, particularly within, like, that whole NFL wives and girlfriends circle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting, right?
Like her whole social life, it seems like.
Because it's, like you said, it's not just happening online and in this abstract digital space.
Right.
It's affecting her real life, her relationship.
Exactly, and that's what we're going to unpack next.
These NFL wives and girlfriends, they often form these really tight bonds with each other.
Oh, yeah?
It's like, they have this built-in support system.
Yeah.
This social circle, especially in this world that's so demanding, with all the travel and the media attention.
Right, because it's easy to forget that these athletes and their partners, they're part of this whole other world.
Absolutely.
With its own, like, rules and expectations.
Exactly. And like any other tight-knit community, you have this shared experience, like inside jokes, a level of trust that develops over time.
Yeah.
So when something like this happens, a high-profile breakup like this, it's not just two people going their separate ways. It impacts that whole network.
It's like a ripple effect.
Exactly. And Nicole has even said that, things have changed, that she's not as close with some of the other wives and girlfriends as she used to be.
Yeah, which is understandable.
Oh, totally. I mean, put yourself in their shoes for a second.
It's got to be so awkward.
Right. Like, how do you navigate those friendships? You're probably friends with both of them, but you're also trying to be sensitive to the situation.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And at the end of the day, they're dealing with their own emotions about it all, too.
It's a good reminder that breakups, they don't happen in a vacuum.
Never.
There's collateral damage,
Always.
even if it's unintentional.
100%. And sometimes that damage is actually acknowledged publicly, not just whispered about behind closed doors.
Oh, you mean like when Kelce talked about it on his podcast, New Heights?
Exactly. Like, he straight up said that things haven't been as great as they used to be family-wise.
Which, wow.
Yeah, I mean, read between the lines.
It just goes to show how these situations, when you add fame and social media to the equation,
Right.
they become so much more complex than just, like, who broke up with who.
It's not just about the two people involved anymore.
It's about the whole network of relationships that get impacted.
Exactly. And it's a good reminder that everyone involved, like Kayla Nicole in this case, they're dealing with so much more than just a breakup, It's the court of public opinion, the shifting dynamics of their social circles, the constant pressure of being linked to a public figure.
It's a lot to handle.
It is, and it makes you think, like, what can we learn from Kayla Nicole's experience?
Right, because it's easy to get caught up in the gossip of it all.
Totally.
But I feel like there's a bigger conversation to be had here, even if we're not, dating a celebrity or followed by paparazzi.
Absolutely. And I think it comes down to a few key takeaways.
So what are those takeaways? Because it's easy to get caught up in the gossip of it all, but I feel like there's a bigger lesson here.
Absolutely. And I think, first and foremost, this whole situation, it really highlights the dark side of online fandom. Like, the way some people have reacted to this, the vitriol, the possessiveness, it's a reminder of how these parasocial relationships, especially when they're amplified by social media, can become really toxic.
Yeah. And it's easy to forget when you're behind a screen that there's a real person, a real human being with real feelings on the other side of those comments.
Totally. And, for someone like Kayla Nicole, who's not only dealing with this very public breakup, but also trying to build her own career, have her own life,
right?
It's got to be incredibly difficult.
For sure. For sure. And then you add on top of that, like we were talking about, these ripple effects.
Yes.
It's not just the couple who feels the impact of a breakup.
Right.
It's their friends, their families, colleagues, even their broader social circles, like we saw with Nicole and the whole NFL wives and girlfriends thing.
Absolutely. And it just goes to show that these public figures, these celebrities, they exist within these larger social ecosystems. And when something disrupts that system, like a breakup, a scandal, whatever,
right,
those ripples, they're felt far and wide.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, in a world obsessed with celebrity, where do we draw the line? Like, how do we stay informed? How do we engage with these public figures without crossing over into that territory of, like, disrespecting their humanity, their need for privacy?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, I don't know if there's an easy answer, but I do think that Kayla Nicole's experience, even though she's not, the A-list celebrity in this scenario, it gives us a lot to think about.
It really does.
It forces us to confront the downsides of fame, the dark side of fandom, and just the sheer complexity of relationships when you throw fame into the mix.
It's a lot.
It is.
Well, on that note, here's a final thought-provoking question for you listening at home.
Yeah.
If you were in Kayla Nicole's shoes, how would you navigate this whole thing? What boundaries would you set to protect yourself, to protect your own well-being? Because finding that balance between engaging with celebrity culture and respecting the actual human beings at the center of it, it's a conversation we all need to be having. And that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.